This tutorial shows you how to add a reference database so it can be accessed in SALT. It assumes you are using the current release of SALT 20. The first step is to locate the database you want to use with SALT. This may be one of the contributed databases downloaded from the SALT website, or one you built from your own transcripts. Contributed databases may be downloaded from the SALT website by selecting Downloads, Contributed Databases. The database file you download ends with the extension SLTDB. Locate this file in your browser's download folder. Your own database, which is built using the research version of SALT, also ends with the file extension .sltdb. This file may be located anywhere on your computer or network. If you built the database on your computer, you may find the file in SALT's default folder for external databases. This folder, which was created when you ran SALT for the first time, is found at documents/mysaltdata/external reference databases. It may be the case, however, that the database was built and stored somewhere else. The second step is to move the database file to SALT's default folder for external databases. Unless you changed this location in the setup menu, it is located in the folder mysaltdata/external reference databases within your Documents folder. The next step is to test the database. This demo assumes the database is named demo.sltdb and contains story retell narratives based on two stories, Frog, Where Are You? And The Bus Story.
To test the database, I'll open a transcript from participant Tom retelling Frog, Where Are You? Notice the context is Nair and the subgroup is Frogway. I'll go to the Database menu and select Database Samples and Settings. Notice the Narrative Story Retell database is pre-selected. To change this to the Demo database, just click Select External Database and select the Demo database. Now I'm using the Demo database for comparison. Notice the subgroup is pre-selected as Frogway because Tom's transcript specifies the subgroup as Frogway. But if I click the drop-down arrow, you can see that the database also contains the bus story. Keeping the subgroup as Frogway, I find the matched samples and the equated samples and click OK. Now I'll select Standard Measures Report from the Database menu based on the entire transcript. And the Standard Measures Report is displayed comparing Tom's transcript to transcripts selected from the Demo database. There's one final step which may make it easier to use this database. Remember when I compared Tom's transcript, SALT pre-selected the Narrative Story Retell database and I had to change it to the Demo database. SALT pre-selects the best database by looking at the contents of the plus lines and applying some rules. If I want the Demo database to be pre-selected, I need to change the rules. Select Setup Analysis Settings and then Default Databases. This dialog box defines the rules for pre-selecting databases for comparison. The rules are based on language, context, and subgroup. If I want my new database to be pre-selected, I need to carefully add it to the list. I'll start by adding it to the end as line 17. The language is English. The context is Nair. And the subgroup is Bus and Fway. I'll click Browse External E, since this is an external database, and select the Demo database. Notice line 4. The rule for the narrative story retell database is very similar. English language, narrative context, and a subgroup which includes Frogway. Also notice line 8, which is the rule for the New Zealand, Australia story retell database. This is also very similar. English language, narrative context, and a subgroup which contains bus. When lines contain the same information, they are processed in order from 1 to the end. So I need to decide if I want my database to take precedence over one or both of the other databases. In this case, I want my database to have the highest priority, so it needs to come before the narrative story retell database on line 4. So I'm going to renumber lines 4 to 16 and 5 to 17 and change the number of my database from 17 to 4. Then I'll click the Sort button to arrange the databases in order. Now, if a user compares a narrative transcript to the database transcripts and the transcript subgroup is bus or FWay, the demo database will be pre-selected. If this is what I want, I would click Save as Default. Since this is just a demo database, I don't want to save it as the default, so I'll just click OK.
This concludes the tutorial on how to add a reference database so it can be accessed in SALT.